Murder on the Main Line, Chapter 3, Roundhouse. Philadelphia Police Quarters, the Roundhouse. Interrogation Room 4 under a humming fluorescent light. Heather Winslow sat there in a metal chair. She rocked and hugged herself and sniffled in the silence under an uncaring camera. It filmed her from the top corner of the room, looking down on her like a raven. She startled when the door jangled and opened. Sloan walked in with a coffee and a pile of paperwork. They always sent Sloan in first. She had that den mother vibe with her sweaters and necklaces, and she would make the suspects feel a little safer and more comfortable while she dismantled their story like a red-tailed hawk tearing the liver from a fish. "Hello," said Sloan, with a lot of commotion getting to her seat. The room was arranged to put Heather in the corner. "I'm Sloan Taylor, a homicide detective here at the police department." She mentally noted that Heather's hair was blonde. She sat her ass down. "Hello," said Heather, broken in tears. "I am sorry for your loss, Mrs. Winslow. I can't imagine what you're going through," said Sloan. "Still can't believe he's not here. This is all happening so fast." She looked around the room like a lost child. "I know, I'm sorry. It's a lot to take in. We will help you through it, okay?" She reached out and touched the bereaved woman softly on the shoulder. Mateo, watching through the one-way glass, nudged the detective next to him and nodded, prodding out the word, "Right?" "We just have a few questions," said Sloan. "I see they got you water and some tissues. Do you need anything else?" "What is this about? Am I a suspect or something? Should I have a lawyer?" "Heather, you are not under arrest. Right now, you're here because you're Josh's wife, and you're the person who can help us best understand his last 24 hours. You're free to stop at any time, and if you want a lawyer, that's completely your right. But if you're okay to keep talking, I just have some questions so we can help you get some closure, okay?" "Okay," said Heather, crying. I suppose you have to question the spouse, right?" She could barely speak through her raw emotions, her face ashen and contorted. "Well, yes, this is really more for information," said Sloan in her soft voice. It was one of those throwaway lines that just filled in the rhetorical space. Of course it's for information. "Has anything strange been going on lately?" she asked. "Anyone you're aware of that would want to hurt Josh?" "There's this ex-girlfriend of his, Rachel," said Heather. "Okay. So he was having an affair?" "Well, he wasn't actually having sex with anyone, at least as far as I know. He better not have. This ex-girlfriend of his was kind of stalking him, though. He came clean one night. He said she just kept texting. I told him to just put her on ignore. But she was an addict, and he was all concerned about her and didn't want to cut her off because he was a doctor and his oath and all of that. I didn't like it at all, of course." "I'd say so," said Sloan. He was not on her side. "Who would? So you think she might have wanted to hurt Josh?" "Well, he did say that she was heartbroken. I don't know if there was some sort of fatal attraction thing going on there. She was a drug addict, in and out of jail." "I see," said Sloan. "And how did that make you feel?" "You sound like my therapist," said Heather. She had cried out all of her tears. "At first, I felt betrayed, but then I realized that he didn't ask for her text, and he came clean." "Still, though," said Sloan, "it's pretty weird. Had to be a hit to the trust level." "No," said Heather, thinking. "No, it actually made me trust him more when he came clean." "That's fair," said Sloan. "Do you have this person's name?" "Not her full name, just her first name, Rachel." Sloan wrote it down. She glanced at the glass again. "And how long had they been texting?" "About 6 months." Sloan stopped for a moment and looked at her over her glasses. 6 months? That's a long time. "I know. He didn't tell me she contacted him until 4 months later." "Did he ever say that her text got threatening?" "Well, yeah," said Heather. "That's why I'm thinking it was her. He said she seemed a bit obsessed with him, and she was starting to send him these scary texts. Like I said, fatal attraction." "Scary texts?" Like what? I don't know exactly. He didn't show those to me. He said they would upset me. They must have been concerning, said Sloan. It was, said Heather. We were actually looking into the security systems last week. Sloan had noted no security back at the house. She did find that strange, given its caliber. And this Rachel, you said she was in jail? Yes, she was a nurse. Got caught stealing painkillers from the pharmacy stockpile. I see, said Sloan, writing furiously. Any other erratic or concerning behavior from this person? I mean, nothing specific, said Heather, other than she just kept texting him and wouldn't leave it alone. He honestly didn't talk about it much. She just comes to mind now, know what I mean? Yes, of course. We will look into that for sure. She was already thinking about the warrant paperwork she would need to fill in for all the phones in this situation. She asked Heather lots of other questions about this Rachel. After a bit, she switched gears so the interview wouldn't lose momentum. Can you walk me through the past 24 hours, she asked? What's been going on? Well, Josh's Aunt Leslie needed a colonoscopy today, so Beth and I went up to her place in Quakertown last night so we could drive her up there in the morning. Okay, got it. So you drove up to Quakertown last night? No, in the late afternoon, after work. So, like 5:30? Asked Sloan. Yes, around then. I picked her up from aftercare. I see. Let's slow down. When did you get up? What? Heather was surprised by the question. Oh, around 6, I think. No, it was 7. I had to get Beth up. And Josh? Where was he? Did you have breakfast with him? Josh? I don't know, no. He had to leave early for his rounds. He always does that on Fridays. Let's put a pin in that. Let's go through your day. What did you do then? Well, we got ready. You and Beth. Yes, we got dressed and had breakfast, you know. Okay. Sloan just let the words sit there. She watched Heather. Then I took her to school, said Heather. And then what? We left at 7:30. Heather looked bewildered. I'm not sure I like this line of questioning. Sloan jumped in before Heather could finish her statement in an attorney's mobile phone. We are just trying to establish a good timeline for the past 24 hours, she said. These are just standard questions we ask. Why do I feel like I'm getting the 9th degree here? Christ on a cruiser. I just lost my husband. Shouldn't we be looking into this? This woman that's been texting? She broke down into a mess of tears and cursing. Sloan sat there, apologizing and soothing. In the back of her mind, she thought about how she'd never heard that phrase before. Christ on a cruiser. She explained that they didn't intend to give Heather the 9th degree. A complete lie. They fully intended the 9th degree and then some. This woman was the spouse. There will be phone logs and emails. But Sloan went on to explain how we're just trying to get a strong timeline of the past 24 hours and how important it was. She explained that they would get to the texting woman. And by some miracle, they got the boys on the other side of the glass to nudge each other again. She got Heather back into the timeline through coaxing and small talk. It only took her 22 minutes. So, asked Sloan, you drop her off at school, then what? Then I went to work. And that was at the law firm? Yes, said Heather. Arden, Lockridge, and Voss. Yes. And what do you do there? I'm director of IT security. Wow, okay, said Sloan. That sounds like a lot. Heather didn't respond verbally. She just nodded in agreement and wiped her nose with a tissue. Okay, so you're at work, and you're there all day? Yes. Did you hear from Josh at all during the day? Yes, he texted me about how there was a storm coming next week. Yeah, sure is, said Sloan. Would you mind if we took a look at your phone? It's just standard procedure. When someone dies, you take the spouse's phone. So sorry about this. Heather sighed. Sloan was sure that she was about to lawyer up. To her surprise, Heather just handed her the phone and said, Fine. Thank you. When will I get it back? If you could write down the password on this post-it note, I'll have it back to you by tomorrow. Heather looked at Sloan hard through her wet eyes and got nothing. Just a courteous, professional smile. She wrote down her password. Great. Thank you. Now where were we? Continued Sloan. Yes, you picked up Beth from aftercare. Where did you go after that? Then we drove to Quakertown, said Heather. The fluorescent light highlighted her hurt and sadness and anger in a pale diffusion that only happens in government facilities. That's a bit of a haul. Okay. And that's where you spent the rest of your evening? Yes. We ordered some takeout and watched a movie. Delivery? Yes. Sloan would check receipts and ring cameras later. Okay, said Sloan. Now take me through the morning of. I take it the police notified you? Yes, and Darlene called me. Darlene? Our cleaning lady. Yes, she was the one that found Josh. That's right, said Sloan. My partner spoke to her at the scene. She looked at the glass window. Don't worry, Chica, Mateo said to himself. We got her too. And you came right down once you heard the news? Said Sloan. I take it you left Beth in Quakertown. Yes, said Heather. She was crying again. Okay, said Sloan. I know, I'm sorry. We're almost done. Just need to get some more details about Beth and when we can talk to her next week, okay? Heather hit the wall. Sloan could see the grief and anguish pulsing through the veins on this woman's pale face. A new widow. She relented. She wasn't going to get anything more in that session anyway. She backed off and switched gears to the logistics of getting Beth in next week, appointments and such. She let Heather go home with her condolences. The shaken wife clutched her purse on her way to the elevator. Back in her cubicle, Sloan ran Rachel plus nurse in the department's RMS prior incident system. And there she was, staring back at her on the monitor. Theft by unlawful taking and possession of a controlled substance in a ponytail. Pretty. Skinny. She stared back at the camera with that emptiness you see in the troubled. That vacant look from too far away. From too many early mornings with bloodshot eyes. She noticed one thing and grabbed her keys. Black hair. Mateo, she said over her cubicle. Let's go pay this Rachel a visit.